Hi, and welcome to A Cup of Tea with Steve. A big thank you to Pam Sharrock for my lovely mug saying A Cup of Tea with Steve. Anyway, everyone has crushes, and I don't know anybody that doesn't have a crush on my next guest. I even famously once chatted her up at a party. She's a brilliant actress, a singer, and an activist. Welcome, Heather Peace. Hey, Heather, how are you?
I'm okay. The sun is shining.
I know it's this summer starting after the weirdest weather ever.
I know. Do you know? I've just been away filming, and we're meant to be like shooting as though it's like spring this time last year. So I had to wear all the clothes that I would have been wearing in March last year, but it was absolutely freezing.
What have you been filming?
Do you know it's one of those really annoying things where they make you sign an
Oh, you
NDA?
can't speak about it.
Oh, I shouldn't have even brought it up. I know I hate signing those things. You just want to tell everybody, don't you?
Listen, how's lockdown been for you?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. It was an interesting one because Ellie's a teacher, so
Yeah.
I essentially had to look after and teach my 5-year-old while she was teaching other people's kids. And I'd say it was a mixture of mayhem and magic in the sense that some days I was just so run ragged. So I've got twins who at that point would not quite 3, and Annie was not quite 5. So they all had lockdown birthdays. It was very sad, although we had a good day. We had good days. So some days it was just carnage. The house just gets decimated, and you're just constantly picking up and telling them off. Not telling them off, but can we stop shouting? Can we stop whinging? And then other days you just got out. We were lucky, weren't we, with the weather? And so we'd go for our exercise, but we'd keep them out for a couple of hours. But like in the middle of nowhere, we're really lucky. We're right onto the South Downs here in Brighton, so you could literally walk out into greenery where nobody else was and just run them around for a couple of hours. Whereas normally we'd go to playgrounds. So I think that rediscovery of nature and finding a playground in the woods was really special.
Have you been teaching? You've got 3 daughters, and you started playing piano at age 6.
I
So
did, yeah.
yeah, are you teaching? Are you teaching your children how to play piano and
Well, Annie's just turned 6, and I don't want to start her too early. I don't know whether you have a lot of kids in your life, Stephen, but when they're that age, they'll tell you that they can already sing or they can already play the piano. So she'll sit down, bash a few notes out, and I'll say, would you like me? And she'll say, but I can already play. So I sort of let them. I've got a music room on the top floor, and it's got the laptop set up. It's got loads of stuff that make drums and all sorts of things. And so I let them loose on that, and they can put their headphones on, not too loud, don't worry. Um, and they love it. And I think Annie actually, I'd love it if she was like a producer or something. She seems to really enjoy the different sounds and the different things you can do. So they have access to everything, but I'm going to wait until a time where she's absolutely ready to say, okay, I'm ready to sit down and concentrate. Because I had periods, I classically learned where
yeah?
I hated it sometimes. I hated Mozart. Sorry for anyone who likes him. But, it actually would put me off at times. And I don't want that for her. So we'll see what she's into.
You've said that one of your proudest things is being a mother and a wife. And I've known you for years. It's such a big difference.
I was a party girl, Stephen. There's no denying. There's no denying my party days.
We had some laughs, but how? I mean, apart from the obvious, how has it changed you being a mum and a wife?
I've grown up, mate. I've grown up. I remained a child for far too long, and I emotionally didn't develop. I think the thing that Ellie's given me is an emotional maturity. I was always that one that would fall apart for no reason, really, and I didn't think deeply enough. I thought, well, no, that's not fair. I did, but perhaps I didn't know how to share that or articulate that. And now I think there's just a sense of I'm really happy, and there's a real groundedness that goes with being a mum.
Yeah.
There's a real responsibility in just because you feel that way, tired or grumpy or whatever, that doesn't mean that you have to let everybody know.
We're going to ask you this. Well, we live in a very intolerant age still. And you hear it from people. Oh, yeah, I've nothing against it, but it's the children I worry about. They might get bullied at school, and we can't brush it under the carpet and just say, "Well, we not speak." What do you say to people or LGBT people who would like to have children, but then have worries that people are going to judge them? What are the negatives and the positives for you?
It's tricky, isn't it? Because I'm in the very privileged situation of living in Brighton, and
Yeah.
the thing is, like, it's not the cheapest place to live, and we could have possibly got a bigger house somewhere else, for what it is here. And we did look at that, with the big garden and this and that, and but it did come down to I did chicken out a little bit because Ellie said, "Well, maybe we should be the first gays in the village." I said, "Well, I'm okay with that. Like, I can absolutely take that, and I find it my mission. I'd want to turn people around if they'd never met a lesbian couple or whatever. I just know that we could befriend them and change their opinion. But my kids haven't asked for that. And so, do you know what I mean? And like, I don't know that where they go to school, there's definitely other same-sex parents. So we're really lucky with that.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like when you see a homophobic post on Twitter and things like that, 90% of comments call them out.
Yes, it is now starting to get there.
It has changed, but you're always going to find someone who doesn't agree. We just a couple of years ago we tried to get a nanny because Elliot had an operation and I was working away, and we'd got the nanny, and I think it went mad on Twitter when I posted about it. So I was so cross. And the nanny then came back, the agency, and said, "Oh, sorry, but we can't because she doesn't agree with working for two mums." And it floored me so much for days. But the positives that I took from that was it floored me so much because it just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, but only
Do
by
you know what?
educating and talking about things like this can we go any further forward. Pushing it away or banning people or saying, I think the way is people like yourself talking about it.
Yeah.
Give people an education and what they don't know that they're frightened of sometimes. But listen, when I first worked with you and tried to get you into some sexy outfits, I had to
How
practically run.
long ago was this?
Was that?
How long ago was it,
No,
Stephen?
no, I can't. I was seeing Demi Moore and had all these outfits ready for a Demi Moore thing, and you were seeing something completely different. And I managed to get you this amazing white sheet, but you had it so tight it was like something like the Handmaid's Tale. But anyway, the question is obviously that's changed because I've seen your pictures in Diva magazine, which are
Yeah.
really sexy now. What
Yeah.
in you. And do you think there's too much pressure on actresses and actors to look sexy for magazine shoots?
Do you know what? I'm trying to work out because I think this was pre lip service.
Oh,
And
definitely pre-lip service. It was run.
yeah,
I think you were in oh or London's Burning or
right. I'll tell you exactly what it was. Until I did lip service and the agent said, you're going to have to talk about your sexuality. I just wasn't comfortable enough. Yes, I was on television, but I wouldn't do anything outside of what I had to do promotion wise for a TV show. Like, you'd never just get me to come along and just promote myself, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And I didn't do that until I became vocally active for our LGBTQ
yeah.
community. Um, because I think there was something in, I'm trying to articulate this. I think there was something in being made to be sexy for the male gaze. I do. I honestly do. Until people knew who I was, it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Honestly, and then as soon as like I was out, then I was like all about that.
We had a really fun shoot. I really enjoyed it, but it's just you weren't keen on the idea. Let's put it that way. But went horrible. That was just like no.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But what are you teaching? I mean, as I say, actors. I mean, every time you look down at the mail, it's in a sexy outfit. There's so much pressure
Yeah.
put on people to be sexy. What are you teaching your kids about body image? Uh,
Oh,
you go,
listen, we're all over all sorts of stuff. Our main Our main thing is about teaching the kids about consent. Now, this before, because they're very young. But you know that way when you were a kid, right? And your auntie or your uncle or your mum or your dad or your usually my brother actually would tickle you, which makes you laugh. But then they tickle you to a point that actually, although you're laughing, it hurts and feels quite suffocating.
Yes.
Do you remember those memories,
Very
right?
much.
I found that actually really distressing as a kid, and grown-ups doing that, and you feel pinned down and you feel like you're not in control. Right from the off with our kids, when we my kids love being tickled, but
Yeah.
it's absolutely on their terms. So you
Yeah.
do a little tickle and they'll say stop, and we stop, and then they'll go tickle me again, and then you'll tickle them, so that all the time they feel in
Very
control.
control.
The other thing is if they're wrestling with each other, or one of the twins is trying to grab the other one and have a little fight, but the other one's saying I don't like it,
Yeah.
every time we just say, if somebody doesn't like it, we stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they completely get that. And I do honestly think that we're sort of teaching them their own bodily autonomy, and that they're in
Yeah.
charge of, yeah. And I mean, as far as body image goes, we try and monitor what they're watching. I mean, stuff does infiltrate, always does, but all they know about is being healthy. So
Yeah.
they see Ellie going to yoga, they see me going out for a run. And when I hear them sort of playing at families, they'll say, right, I'm going off for my exercises now. And they're just pretending to be me and Ellie, and I just think, okay, that's a good positive thing as well. So at the moment, I'm hoping it's more about health.
Well, you came out when you were 19 years old. I came
Yeah.
out when I was 60. I was 16. Um, uh, Still to this day and age, sadly, you read stories of either being forced out because of the situation they're living in, or chucked out, young gay people. What advice would you give people who are still frightened to come out to the families?
Again, it's a really, like the situation of me being in Brighton, it's a very, very personal situation. Only you know the views that the people around you hold. But I would hope that everybody would have someone that is someone that they could go to, in the sense that um, I told my brother before I told my parents. I totally misjudged my parents based on my mother's Catholicism.
Yeah. Yeah.
She left the Catholic Church, by the way,
You as
after we
well.
got married. Yeah, I'd gone. Yeah, they'd lost me. But my mum actually swapped to C of E not about 6 years ago, because yeah, she's awesome. But I think is to know you've got a place to run to should it all go very, very wrong. I know not everybody has that option, but I'd like to think that most people would have one friend or somebody that they've already told, that that person knows that they're going home to tell their parents, so that you've got somewhere to go. And I know that that's not always the case, but there is help out there as well with the Albert Kennedy Trust, and lots of people that you could go to. There's lots of things you can look up online, support and help networks, really.
And I want to ask you about Albert Kennedy. You're the patron of Albert Kennedy, aren't you?
Yeah, they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful. They give people, they give young people, not just they give them housing if they're in a desperate situation. There is emergency housing that then they hopefully then move you on to. They look at what you want to do, what are your aspirations, where do you want to go to college, what do you want to study. If you
Yeah.
haven't finished school, they'll give you a mentor that helps you finish your studies. That the kids have gone on to do amazing things.
Yeah.
So there's a mentor program there as well, where some kids go off and live with a couple who are just there as a support network. Yeah, and they go on to training courses. Some have become artists. One of the lads who graduated from who used Albert Kennedy Trust went on and had a poetry book published. I mean, there is help there, and also you have to remember that at the school, there's help at the schools as well. Like when I look at, when Ellie comes home and talks to me about what's going on at school, there's this whole safeguarding stuff set up there as well.
I think I'm a diversity role model. You are as well, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a great thing. I mean, I mean, the first time I did it, my mouth just dropped open, going into schools and talking about it. Kind of like a bit brought back a bit of. It's fascinating we're allowed to do that.
But you see that wasn't in place when we were at school. You know, like if you
Have
if you
Margaret
if you went
had
into
a band.
yeah, no, if you went into school now and said that you'd come out to your parents and it had all gone very, very wrong and whatever else, you know, they'd have protocols in place to make sure that you're okay.
You're one of the busiest actresses going.
I don't know where you've heard that.
I mean,
Well, it's been tricky.
have you seen your CV? It's about this. Who have you enjoyed working with, and what's your favourite parts been?
Probably the best time I had and the most amazing people I worked with was on Waterloo Road, in the sense of there was just a great big gang of us: Laurie Brett, Georgie Glenn, Mel Hill, Phil Martin Brown, and we just Vix. There was just a real crowd. We were all away from home. And we just had the best laugh. And I'd still say that Zoe Looker, I'd say that we're still
Zoe.
super super close. You know, like I speak to most of those people now. Yeah, so
It's
but the
still on
best
the BBC, isn't it? It's still, you can still get it on the BBC, and I think it's on Netflix. Or
it's on iPlayer.
it's on. It's definitely that.
Yeah, it's an iPlayer.
Now, one of the things that's been controversial over the last 6 months is only gay actors should play gay parts. What do you think about that?
I was dead against that until I heard Russell T Davies speak
Yeah,
after his recent production. It's a Sin.
yeah,
And I heard him out, and he's changed his opinion as well. So I was always like, you should be able to play anything, anytime, blah blah blah. But from my personal experience, ever since doing lip service, so prior to lip service, I'd only ever played straight characters.
yeah.
Doing lip service from there on in, everything that I get cast in is gay. Apart from the odd thing where the casting director or the director literally don't know who the hell I am, So I have done a couple of things. If straight actors then got to go play gay roles, then the gays, those of us who are gay, kind of just left sitting at home because I don't massively get considered for straight roles. Although, look, I'm saying all this, you're making me just think off my feet here. But no, I have literally just the last role I've just played a straight. Anyway, I think what Russell T was saying, there was an energy about It's a Sin.
Yes,
that
yeah.
it came from the fact that cast were gay.
Yeah.
It was different. It was a lived experience. And so then, the other argument is, well, why should gay people play straight roles? It's like, well, because there's about 95% more of them. And also, for a lot of our life, we played straight up until we came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a really tricky one. I thought Russell T, if anyone wants to go look for that speech that he did about that, I thought it was quite incredible. Yeah.
But also, you have 5 albums out.
I've done a bit of recording. Yeah. Well, I also did 2 covers albums over lockdown, but I didn't put them on iTunes. Because the thing is, Stephen, you can't make money from records anymore. You make it from touring. Well, during lockdown, we weren't allowed to tour, so I just put them out on my website and on. There's another thing called Bandcamp.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of albums here, but then you won't find them on iTunes.
What are your music influences?
It's a broad range. Classically trained in piano. Grew up, my dad listened to Phil Collins, ELO, Fleetwood Mac, which I've carried on just adoring, ABBA.
Yeah.
So that was that time. Now I love acoustic music. I love Jose Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I love Eva Cassidy. I love James Morrison. I love all of that. And then I love electropop like Japanese house and Haim and I've sort of I've loved oh my God, Taylor Swift. I love a lot of the ones that she did during lockdown, Evermore and stuff. So basically I'll have a listen to anything unless it's thrash metal. I'm not a thrash metal fan. I grew up on Motown as well. Diana Ross, the Jacksons, Stevie Wonder. I love jazz. Just no thrash metal, Steve.
So what else have you got coming up for the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, I've just finished filming this thing that I can't talk about, so that's boring. I'm potentially filming again in July for. I hate this. Yeah, I can't talk about it. And I'm also developing a script for a new TV show that has had quite a bit of interest in it, based in Bradford, and about a group of very middle-aged women. And I'm working with a writer. Also, I've got some online gigs in August, a couple of online gigs where I've got a live audience of 30 people in a massive tent. So it'd be the first gig in front of an audience, but I'm also live streaming it. But that's all on the website.
Heather, it's always lovely to see you, as always.
Yeah. And listen, Stephen, please, if you come back down to Brighton, please do get in touch. I'd love to come up and meet you at the Crescent.
We'll come meet you in the Crescent.
I'd love that.
Thank you ever so much, Heather. Thank you.
No worries. Bye bye, Stephen.